Tell me I can't, I dare you. This talk is so named because so often as disabled people, it's what we hear again and again. Or maybe it's not in words, but in actions, putting us into the lowest streams in school because that's where most disabled people go. Just assuming time and time again that we are not capable. It's also something that comes up a lot with accessibility. We are told again and again that accessibility is an add-on, a bonus, something to do if and when you have the money for it, not as a basic right. And to this we say, tell us we can't, we dare you. So who am I? I'm Jade Fern-Gadd, I'm 25 years old, and I am the co-founder, CEO, and creative director of Medieval Snail games. I have a range of disabilities, including heads, MCAS, needs, pretty much the rest of the alphabet. A little audio descript for you. I'm a white female with brown hair, blue eyes, and a contagious smile. I'm wearing a brown Jawa top, and I have a blue background with little fantasy elements behind me, such as a dragon and some toadstools, because they make me happy. And why do things in life if it doesn't make you go zing? How did we get here? As somebody who became disabled quite early in life, but not born with it, I had high ambitions from the word go, and I hit a brick wall. I realised that I was just going to keep coming up again and again against this wall of no, can't, this kind of block to my goals and ambitions in life. I was at a point where I had to choose to give up or to build something that would change everything. Because when there wasn't space in the world for me, I had to either be shoved out of the world or make space. And so I chose to build. And as I have created space for myself, I've realised that there are many more people like me, and that is where Medieval Snail comes from, is creating space for people like us to not only have space in the industry, but in the world on the whole. And here's the great thing, I'm not alone. There are disabled people with brilliant skills all over the world that aren't being tapped into because the world isn't accessible to them. In fact, if anything, I feel lucky that I've had the opportunity to see that there are so many talented individuals out there who, as of yet, aren't able to get into standard work, aren't able to break into the industry. Great, remote roles for leadership is wonderful, but what about entry level? It's hard enough when you're not disabled. But when you have additional needs on top of being entry level, and you're used to every door being slammed in your face, putting in application after application and getting rejection letters or nothing back really starts to sting. I want to take this opportunity to thank Many Cats for this fabulous day, which is very much needed in the industry. But I also want to take a moment to acknowledge that today isn't about selling you on accessibility, because you wouldn't be here today, virtually of course, if you didn't already know there was a need. But what that need looks like may be different for each one of us. It may be our own personal experience. We're thinking about things through our own lens, or it may be the obvious if we're just looking at accessibility on the whole without personal experience. One thing's for certain, no one individual can have a full view of accessibility. It's just not possible because there's a changing landscape all of the time. But what we can do is work together to create the most accessible environment possible. Today I want to talk to you about being a disabled leader, about how I am using my personal experience as an opportunity to change the way that our studio is built from the standard. We're diverging from the norm in what I believe to be a wonderful way, and we're doing it from the ground up, not as an afterthought. So we are presently getting all of our lovely very dry policies ready to go, and we are making sure that we build into every single one our values. They are the most important thing to us. We have already turned away from quite a lot of opportunities in funding and support that didn't align with our values. Our values are key to Medieval Snail. And so, yeah, I want to share with you today what we are doing to be able to utilise, not just deal with, but utilise disability. Because when disabled people are involved in creating games, they become more accessible, or at least they should. And that's really, really important to us, because I want to try to do my bit to build a world where next time a 15-year-old girl is lying in bed thinking, is there ever going to be a space for me in the world, she can look us up. She can see that we already exist, and she can see that someday when she's ready there'll be a job waiting for her that wants her, not just deals with her. The industry has a blind spot. Pardon the pun, blind friends. The thing is, we are missing perspectives that could revolutionise the market, because a lot of disabled people can't just book a flight and go off for a weekend to Tenerife. It's just not that simple. For a start, there's all the planning that has to go in, if it's even possible for us. But what we can do is go and explore Azeroth. We can go and make our own little getaway in Hyrule. These are things that should be accessible to us, but aren't always. Creating accessible gameplay is not only useful for the player, but for your bottom line. Of course, the little secret is that for disabled people, many of us in our day-to-day lives use creativity and problem solving just to exist. Getting out of bed in the morning, if we can get out of bed, or rather more, just existing day on day, takes perseverance. It takes skills that people that don't have our challenges just don't have to face. And because there's such a wide range of disabilities, there's a wide range of skills available there. The industry looks for creative solutions. Well, here is a whole load of creativity. So what does disabled leadership look like? Well, it looks like this. Hi. It looks like tapping on the shoulders of people who you feel may be pivotal in a company and going, excuse me, can I speak to you because you're on a different level? It looks like going to meetings in your pyjamas and still remaining professional in your demeanour. It looks like spending a few extra days getting your talk together because you have no voice for a little while. And it looks like understanding your employees, understanding your team, and understanding your players. For me, it looks like daily lived experience in resilience and adaptability. And aren't those brilliant skills for management? These are things that I have to handle all day, every day, with a body that can throw pretty much anything at me. That is wonderful training for being able to lead a team and for such a volatile industry. Knowing that anytime, any day, my body can fail me on one of many different levels. Also allows me to be able to keep a cool head in a crisis. This is something that I think is perhaps overlooked. We not only have lived experience in terms of understanding player needs, but also our skill sets are stronger because of our disabilities, because of what we handle on a daily basis, because being able to brush our teeth can take creativity. So how are we doing it? I'm telling you all about how we are, as Medieval Snail, creating a more accessible game studio, but how? For us, that starts with remote working from entry level, because the amount of energy, or spoons, if you go by spoon theory, and time it takes for somebody to go from getting up out of bed, if that's even possible for them, getting ready, putting on makeup potentially, getting their food ready for the day, including packed lunches, and travelling and finally getting down on their desk to work. That can use up most, if not all, of our energy for the day, and that is not an effective way to work. We far prioritise good work in the right conditions over poor work or no work in poor conditions for the individual. So flexible hours and flexible working spaces are really important. A lot of us end up spending a fair amount of our lives in hospital. There's no reason that you can't work from hospital. And that's the same for being on bed rest. If we need to be on bed rest, why can't we keep up with our normal jobs? Of course, there is need for rest and recuperation as well. But overall, I mean, I've spent 7 months, 9 months at a time on bed rest, and I could do good work in that time. I just couldn't leave the house. Flexible hours are really important to us as well. I personally find that I spend a lot of my day asleep and a lot of my night working, because that's what works best for me. A lot of the time I will take Wednesday off and then work on Saturday. This is what works best for me. Dan, on the other hand, he likes the typical 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and that works for him, and that's okay. We have our core hours where we have to be available, for example, for meetings. However, outside of that, everything is flexible. And we also have systems in place to allow people to be able to catch up if they weren't able to be in meetings, so that you're not immediately getting behind. I found this was an issue a lot in the standard school system. If I missed one day, then I was playing catch up, and things just got more and more stressful as it layered on top. And I think I've been really lucky that I've gone through the school system and seen so many problems in it for me, has allowed me to be able to create a better work environment for people like me. Hiring for skill over grades. This is so important to me because so many people struggle through the education system with a disability, and it's not because they're not skilled. Heck, I mean, a lot of people with physical disability will also have the likes of ASD, which can make them absolute geniuses on one particular area. And if that's your area, you do not want to lose that person because they struggled through school. School is set up in a way that is very useful for the majority of people, but we're the minority, or a minority at least, and a lot of the time that means it doesn't work well for us. For me, I found that being called names as I went through corridors and having things thrown at me just wasn't conducive to a healthy learning environment. So we have set this up so that we look at what a person can do, not what grades a person has. We have a range of different grades on our team and levels of education. I myself have technically 3 GCSEs, but also would feel quite confident starting a PhD. Okay, so now for some hard numbers. A recent survey showed that 45% of people with disabilities game. 20 to 30% of gamers are disabled. Let that sink in. That's 20 to 30% of the people who currently can play games, bearing in mind how inaccessible the majority of games are. So 20 to 30% of our market could benefit from more accessibility features. 66% of that 20 to 30% of our market is struggling with accessibility right now. We need to do something about it. And the real kicker is, it's not just about the games. It's not just about the experience in that moment. It's about the effect that it has on the individual's lives. This is both true of players and workers, because in particular, disabled women are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than their non-disabled peers. This is something that's really important to me because I was almost one of them, and because I know of so many people who've been in a similar situation. So there hasn't been space made for us in the world. Let's make it. Let's not go quietly into that good night, as Dylan Thomas would say, because we deserve better, and we can do better. It's about creating experiences that offer more than 4 walls when that's all you can see. It's about giving something interactive while enjoyable, rather than just watching TV, which obviously can also be a wonderful experience. But when you are in chronic pain, when you have been looking at these same 4 walls for days upon days upon days, being able to escape your own body and be able to do things that not only your body can't do, but anybody can't do, like fly, can be a really wonderful experience, not only an escapism, but for our mental health overall. Being able to literally expand our horizons and explore not only our world but other worlds can really add to what we're able to experience in life and to our quality of life. It can help to combat depression and overall save lives. And accessibility doesn't just benefit one individual. If somebody has a need, it may be that they have a very specific condition, and okay, maybe nobody else is going to turn up with exactly the same salad bowl of issues as them. But you can be pretty darn sure that one accessibility adaptation is going to be useful among many more people. And so when people speak up and say, this is not okay, I need help with this, they are speaking for them, and they are speaking for everybody else that comes after them. And everybody who was too nervous to say anything because, frankly, they are tired of needing to speak up every day, all day, to be able to access basic needs in life. I know that feeling. That's me in a lot of things. There are so many times where I should have complained about something, I should have asked for help with something, but I was tired of constantly having to speak up. And you might be saying, sure, Jade, but is it going to make any money? Here's the thing, there are so many amazing games that have been created within the LGBTQIA+, gosh, I hope I got that right, community, and they are met with a lot of support from within that community. Obviously, there is crossover. You can have a lot of people who are both disabled and gay, or maybe are BAME and disabled, that kind of thing. But a lot of the time what we see is these communities support developers within the communities. They support games that support them. And yet we don't see this very much in disability. A lot of the most accessible games, I mean, if you just look at the recent Star Awards, the most accessible games were not made by predominantly disabled teams. And they weren't made predominantly for disability. They were made, and then disability was an added bonus. And a lot of those games were not at disabled-friendly price points because, being honest, it costs more to live as a disabled person. It just does. We need more stuff, we need more storage, we need more time. This is the way that our lives oftentimes are. And on average, I think it's like £1,000 a year extra that we have to spend on handling disability. But then if you add into that we have oftentimes a reduced ability to create income, then actually spending £80 on a game that we can play is quite a lot of money. So our hope is, and my sincere belief is, that the disabled community will help to support people who are supporting them. And that is both in terms of work and creating jobs, but also in terms of play. Because, okay, we may not get it right first time, and we're probably not going to get it right first time, but darn tootin' we will be going back over that. We will make it more accessible, and we will iterate to make sure that those revisions are as close as possible to accessible for everyone. There are a lot of systemic barriers. For example, funding. Creating a completely accessible, especially a completely blind accessible game, is hard, and it costs more money. Especially if you do it right. If you have focus groups of people that are being paid for their time, and if you have a really good experience rather than just a experience, so it's a tick in the box, then it should cost more money, because those elements are valuable, and they should be valuable, and the people that create them should be valued. So creating that extra funding to be able to get a little push off and be able to start creating something that is this accessible is harder. It's hard to ask for that much money from an investor. It's hard to go for funding because it's hard to justify to people who are looking at risk of investment why your game is going to cost more money. Another barrier for me, networking. I cannot just go out to networking events left, right and centre and meet people and get in the old boys club kind of thing. It's not possible for me for a few reasons, like being knocked and dislocated and energy levels, being able to get out and about places, and rather more being able to get safely back home. But also because I have issues with my immune system. And so being around large groups of people just isn't a smart move for me, especially if I want to be able to work after however many hours that event is. In terms of recruitment, finding disabled people that are willing to promote themselves is oddly difficult. I find a lot of the time that my DMs are full of people who haven't had to handle these hurdles, and it makes a lot of sense. When time and time again you're being told no, 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 you end up with this fear of rejection or almost expectation of it, and it's natural not to put yourself forward as much and kind of open yourself up to being hurt as much. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me why my DMs are full of people that are putting themselves forward who have not had to handle discrimination and what have you as much, because disabled people realistically are more likely to have imposter syndrome, are more likely to be more guarded. So finding people that are willing to put themselves forward as individuals with disabilities is actually quite difficult, and takes some encouragement. And when it does happen and they're a good fit, one of our responses has been, really? Are you sure? So this is one of the things that we are trying to work towards, is that people who aren't going to be with our company still have more confidence because they see that people like them are being hired, people like them are in the industry. And that's one of my hopes as well with having gone to the recent Develop conference is, yeah, okay, most disabled people didn't get to go there. Gosh, it would be slammed if like 1.8 billion people did go. But the good thing is, I'm in pictures now. And those pictures are going to be distributed on the internet. And next time somebody is looking up Develop, I'm very hopeful that they will feel more confident in going because they've seen that there's already been someone there like them. A lot of disabled people end up finding themselves trying to prove themselves again and again, trying to prove that they deserve to be where they are. And I mean, I find that a lot. I get nervous about seeming like a charity case rather than being genuinely valuable. And so I try and prove my value, and that takes up even more energy just because I'm trying to prove myself rather than do my actual job. And managing that alongside disability, that can be difficult. So how do we overcome this? Through building communities, through supporting each other, and through providing that proof through our results. We want to show the world that we can create excellent games through the excellent games. We want to show the world that we are valuable through valuable games. We are building for our own studio and pushing for the industry an environment where disabled voices aren't tokens, we have such a percentage alone, but are leaders, but are influential, are powerful, are able to be seen as valuable because we are valuable as people. Hopefully this creates the ripple effect, where every game that we create and every post that we put out will create more hope for people like us, more hope for people who are getting their first diagnosis or have just had their first hate crime, people who are realising what their lives are going to look like can also realise that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of challenges, but it can still be awesome. And this is true of other industries as well. Of course, we are working in the games industry, but by showing that disabled people are valuable and can create wonderful games, we are also showing that disabled people are valuable, period. So the hope is that this doesn't just influence the games community, but disabled people as a whole, and the way that other people view disabled people. Some people have very little knowledge of what it's like to live with a disability, and we hope to use our platform and our community to highlight that and to educate so that there's more respect and more value put on disabled people. We want to create a workforce of people who are deeply invested in what they're doing because they care about it on a personal level. But we also want to create that kind of first step on a rung assistance for people who might not usually be able to enter the industry, so that they are capable of moving on and doing other things with their careers if they want to, but hopefully also want to stay with us because we're just such good fun to work for. We hope that disabled leadership becomes the normal and not exceptional. It's really unfortunate that it is at the moment, and that we see very few physically disabled people in the leadership space. But hopefully in coming years that won't be the case. And something that we are really trying to emphasise in what we're doing and push for in the industry overall is that disabled employees should go all the way through the ranks. Women should go all the way through the ranks. People in marginalised positions should go all the way through the ranks. This is really important because it's easy to say our staff are 50% women, but if you look at that and that 50% women is only on the cleaning staff and other such jobs, and nobody's in actual management, then how are people meant to advocate for women? Yes, okay, some men are wonderful advocates for women. My dad is one of the best feminists I know, but we need women all the way through, and we need disabled people all the way through our organisations. So for disabled developers, your perspective is an asset. And for disabled players, your voice matters. Demand better representation and accessibility. If you don't see any characters that look like you, then shout about it. Let us know, we'll shout about it. We want to make this industry more accessible for everyone, and that includes representation. So if you're having a problem and you are absolutely burned out of oomph, then tell us about the problem. Let us help you to make this industry better for you. And for allies and the community overall, support disabled-led studios, wishlist us, like our posts, follow us. These things cost you no money and will help. So I'm asking you now, don't just watch this. Don't just sit by the sidelines and see where it goes. Be part of it. Tell people about what we're doing. Tell us about what you need and what you want and what your ultimate goals are. Be part of the story and help us to grow and achieve more together. My mum has always said to me, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Go down the tunnel and light the bloody thing yourself. And that is what I'm attempting to do. So, yeah. Tell me I can't. I dare you. Because we're not asking for permission to lead. We're taking our place in this industry and we're bringing everyone along with us. Visibility is a major issue that we are encountering because we can't get out there into the world the same way that other developers can. This is an important thing for us to overcome, but it's also something we need to ask for help with. It's really difficult when you can't go to conventions galore and have stands and get people wish listing and go merch crazy. We can't do that, but what we can do is ask for your help to spread the word. So when you have a challenge pop up in life, you have two options. You can adapt to the challenge or you can change the parameters. Adapting to the challenge is something that we really want to help to support you to be able to do on an individual level. However, changing the parameters is something we need to do industry-wide. In terms of adaptation, here is my top advice to you. Seek and use help. There are so many different organisations available, so hard to find a lot of the time, but they exist, that are there to help you. Things like Access to Work. It's useful and don't be ashamed to use it. I've met so many people, particularly men, who feel that they shouldn't ask for help because that's for someone else who's in a worse position than them. These organisations exist for a reason. Use them, because the help that you ask for will be nothing in comparison to what you can do with it. What you are capable of is more valuable than not asking for help. Be a bother. Speak up. Is really important. You need to let the world know what you need. You need to let the industry know what you need. And if we're not annoying someone, then we're doing something wrong. And plan ahead. This is really useful for a lot of different things, but I think in accessibility overall, one of the best things that we can possibly do is plan. And it's one of the things that allows us to be very good at planning, is that we have to do it on a daily basis. But I would say plan. Contingency plans for contingency plans. And it's something you shouldn't have to do, but it's something that will help you to get through inaccessible parts of life. An easy win that I want to ask of any and all developers watching right now. Open dyslexic font. It is so easy to implement. It needs to just be like a toggle in your settings and you're done pretty much. Yeah, okay, there's a little bit in terms of scaling, but it's really almost nothing to do, and it helps a huge number of people. And that's not just dyslexics either. Even though there are loads of dyslexic people, this is something that can be useful to a wide range of individuals, and is so easy to implement. So why isn't it standard already? Quick do's and don'ts. Don't wait for someone else to speak up. Don't wait for someone else to have the same issue as you, because goodness only knows there will have been people before you and there will be people after you that have the same issue. Be the brave one that says this needs to change. And don't wait for an employee to disclose an access need before offering assistance. If, for example, you need somebody... If, for example, you have steps in your main entrance area, don't wait for somebody to say that they need a ramp, because it's too late by the time you need a building crew and cement to dry. Get these things ready ahead of time. Predictable things at the ready. Less predictable things have formats set up that everybody knows about for people to be able to let you know what they need. Do take action from the start, the very beginning of development. Take action in policy. This is the most important way to go about this. If you are in a position of leadership, make your policies disabled friendly. This can be a huge ask because there's so many different types of disabilities, but if you make one little improvement, it's already more accessible than it used to be. Take action before it's needed, and take action in hiring practices. If we work together, we can do remarkable things, because our very existence is an act of defiance. Our functions are creativity, and our endurance is gumption. Tell us we can't. I dare you.